There are few worse things that can happen to an actor than getting typecast. Okay, that's not strictly speaking true. They could get robbed at gunpoint or fall into a vat of boiling oil. But professionally speaking, it's a pretty horrible fate. These 10 performers were all in danger of that happening to them. The typecasting thing, not the boiling oil stuff. But thankfully, they were able to realize this and shift their public perception in very surprising ways. Whether they started out in comedy and successfully migrated over to more serious parts or vice versa, whether they grew out of more childish roles and matured as a performer, or whether they did something else entirely. These 10 guys and gals were all seen in one particular way before things changed forever. So I am Gareth here from Whatculture.com, and here are actors who reinvented themselves in unexpected ways. Anne Hathaway. The not Shakespeare's wife version of Anne Hathaway got her start in teen comedy drama Get Real in the late 90s. Then came her big breakout movie role, Princess Mia Thermopolis of Genovia in Disney's The Princess Diaries. The movie made Hathaway a huge star and led to her starring in similar family movies like Ella Enchanted and the Princess Diaries sequel. She also starred in the upbeat comedic romp that was Brokeback Mountain in 2005. Oh, wait a second. As the troubled wife of Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Hathaway gave a performance nobody was expecting and completely changed the trajectory of her career. Sure, she will continue to play fluffy roles in things like Valentine's Day and Love and Other Drugs, but Brokeback opened the door for her to take on more dramatic parts in Les Miserables and Interstellar. Basically, Anne Hathaway can do whatever she wants now, and that is completely fine with us. Emma Stone. Emma Stone got her start in Hollywood by starring in memorable modern comedies, such as Superbad, Zombieland, Easy A, and Friends with Benefits. Though a competent comedy actress who is often the standout in her earlier films, it was clear going forward that she was destined for something bigger. Her roles in the Amazing Spider-Man films and Crazy Stupid Love saw her begin to branch out her CV into more serious territory. But it wasn't until Birdman that she spread her wings, and became the actress fans now know. Birdman was followed by a string of dramatic roles, but to date, her greatest performance is that of Mia Dolan in the romantic musical La La Land. This role won her an Academy Award and confidently cemented herself as one of this generation's finest actors, able to move between genre without fault and offer up just as many tears as she can laughter. Now that is what you call range. It's Matt Smith. At just 27 years old, Matt Smith became the youngest person ever to play the role of the Doctor in the hit BBC sci-fi show Doctor Who. Despite his youth and the fact he was replacing the mighty David Tennant, Smith excelled in the role and remains a firm favourite amongst the Who faithful to this very day. After leaving the show in 2014, many wondered what Smith was going to do next. Would he continue to play the floppy-haired, doe-eyed posh boy that had won him so many fans? No, absolutely not. It turns out that Matt Smith is absolutely brilliant at playing scary men. Who knew? Take his role in 2021's Last Night in Soho, in which he plays a controlling showbiz manager named Jack. Then there's his part in the early seasons of The Crown, the deeply insecure Duke of Edinburgh. And of course, we have to mention the vicious Daemon Targaryen from House of the Dragon. Basically, Smith has done everything within his power to distance himself from the role of the Doctor, and has made very few mistakes in doing so. Well, except for Morbius, but we'll forgive him. Robin Williams. Robin Williams was the ultimate funny man. His energy was unrivaled, his humour one of a kind. And for a while, that's how his career stayed. He was the energetic funny man, an image he cemented with film roles in Popeye, The World According to Garp, and The Best of Times. Then, in 1987, a crack began to form, when he starred in Good Morning Vietnam. Nominated for an Oscar for his performance, Williams proved for the first time to be not just a comedian, but a competent dramatic actor. From there, he went on to star in Dead Poets Society, Awakenings, Good Will Hunting, 1 Hour Photo, and World's Greatest Dad. Williams eventually won an Oscar for his turn in Good Will Hunting, and although he never lost his comedic sensibilities during the rest of his truly spectacular career, it would have been hard to imagine that the guy from Mork and Mindy would become one of cinema's most versatile dramatic performers. Jonah Hill. Fans of teen comedies from the noughties will have a special place in their hearts for a certain Jonah Hill. The star is probably still best known as an awkward teenager in the Seth Rogen pen Superbad. He would also crop up in other funnies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, The Invention of Lying, and Get Him to the Greek before taking on a part that would change his career forever. As baseball executive Peter Brand in the film Moneyball, Hill stunned audiences with a gripping performance that was 1,000 miles removed from his usual clowning about. He even got nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, which would have sounded absurd just a few years earlier. And he was recognized by the Academy again for his part in Wolf of Wall Street. Although he is still mostly a comedic actor, he has veered away from the more childish movies of his younger days. Well, except Sausage Party, in which he played an animated talking wiener. Old habits die hard, alright? It's Nicole Kidman, one of cinema's forever excellent actresses. Nicole Kidman's name is synonymous with versatility and Hollywood. And truth be told, unlike a few others on this list, she never really needed to reinvent herself. She was never in a rut, never really out of work, and honestly just fine where she was. But in 2017, something changed. Cast as one of the leads in HBO drama Big Little Lies, Kidman took the first major TV role of her career and completely nailed it. Though her movie output hasn't slowed down with the show's release, Kidman's Golden Globe winning performance has allowed the actress to find a whole new niche in the television format. She has since taken roles in 2 separate series, The Undoing and 9 Perfect Strangers. Though it remains to be seen just how successful these shows are. If they're anything compared to the actress's previous TV work, there's no disputing her place as a queen of television too. Kristen Stewart. Twilight. Love it, hate it, or actually there isn't really an in-between, is there? Anyway, at the center of a lot of the discussion about Stephenie Meyer's sparkly saga was Kristen Stewart, the face of the entire franchise. Sadly, in the eyes of many, that face just looked a bit miserable all the time. Stewart was ruthlessly tarred with the can't act brush during her time in Twilight, which is unfair as have you seen what she was working with? Laurence Olivier would have struggled with some of that dialogue. Since the vampire movies have wrapped up, Stewart seems to have made it her personal mission to prove everyone wrong. She took on roles in war dramas, prison dramas, and even a Woody Allen film, before going through something of a renaissance in the 2020s. Her portrayal of Princess Diana in Spencer caught a lot of people's attention, and she even turned up in David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. Bella Swan in a body horror? Who'd have thunk it? Steve Carell. Steve Carell is a name still associated with comedy. From Anchorman, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Get Smart, and Dinner for Schmucks, he is an actor who excelled in the first half of his career thanks to his natural comedic chops, his self-deprecating humor, and his brilliant loud acting style. He had a brief dramatic turn in Little Miss Sunshine during this period, but it wasn't until 2014 that Carell was ready to fully reinvent himself. With his role as wrestling enthusiast and eventual murderer John DuPont in the drama Foxcatcher, Carell easily cast aside his comedy roots and offered one of the best performances of the year. But Foxcatcher was not a one-hit wonder. The actor continued to feed his need for more serious roles with movies such as The Big Short, Beautiful Boy, Vice, and Welcome to Marwen. And though his recent role in the comedy series Space Force has seen him return to his comedic ways of his earlier career, there's no denying that Carell has emerged as one of Hollywood's most talented dramatic stars. Mark Hamill. Carrie Fisher would appear in The Blues Brothers and When Harry Met Sally, whilst also garnering plenty of acclaim through her books. As for Harrison Ford, well, do you really need us to talk about him? But what about Luke Skywalker? The literal chosen one who was and still is a hero to so many? You don't really see him anymore, do you? See is the operative word in that sentence, because Mark Hamill, the actor who played Luke, has found a second life as a very talented and in-demand voice actor. Basically, if you've ever seen anything animated, then chances are Hamill has been in it. Scooby-Doo, Spider-Man, Garfield, The Last Airbender, Pinky and the Brain, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Hamill's been in all of the above and plenty more. Oh, and he's voiced the frickin' Joker in about 500 different things. Up there with Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson in the best ever portrayals of the character. Basically, Mark Hamill is an absolute legend who has had a very long and successful career doing what he loves. We should all aspire to be more like Mark. Bryan Cranston. Though it may be hard to remember now, there was once a time when Bryan Cranston was mostly known as the dad from Malcolm in the Middle. But despite the show's success, Cranston still struggled to make a mark in the movies. He had a brief role in Saving Private Ryan and Little Miss Sunshine, but between the 90s and the early 2010s, he really was a TV actor, and looked destined to stay that way for the remainder of his career once Malcolm in the Middle came to an end. But then it happened. In 2008, Breaking Bad came hurtling onto people's TV screens, with Cranston portraying chemistry teacher turned meth dealer Walter White. Breaking Bad was of course a rousing success, and is today seen as one of the greatest shows of all time. During the show's run, Cranston was able to make his way more successfully into the movies, with roles in Argo and Godzilla being particular standouts. Then, after the show's end, the actor also went on to star in the biopic Trumbo, for which he was nominated for an Oscar. Zac Efron. What's Corbin blew up to these days? Or Lucas Grabeel? Or Monique Coleman? Basically, what we're trying to say here is that High School Musical was a bit of a death sentence for many of the actors involved. With the mild exceptions of Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hudgens, no one from the franchise has gone on to find any major success. No one except for our boy Troy Bolton. After becoming the instant bedroom wall dressing of many a young person, Zac Efron continued to play teen heartthrobs even after hanging up his basketball shoes. 17 again, Hairspray, the lucky one. Efron had one gear and he stuck to it. And then all of a sudden, this nice young man got filthy. Efron turned his hand to raunchy comedies and found serious success with them. He starred alongside Robert De Niro in Dirty Grandpa, Seth Rogen in the Bad Neighbors movies, and famously had trouble peeing in That Awkward Moment. Of all the career turns for an actor to take, this one ranks up there with the most surprising. If only we'd bet on it. No apologies here, that song bangs. Matthew McConaughey. The McConaissance. No term more amazing has ever come out of Hollywood, I tells you. With his role in Dazed and Confused, Matthew McConaughey burst onto the acting scene with a performance which is as hilarious as it is iconic. Alright. Following the film's success, the actor went on to star in dramas like Lone Star, A Time to Kill, and Amistad, before the 2000s came along and he found his, well, niche. The rom-com. Between 2003 and 2009, McConaughey starred in 5 major romantic comedies, including How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and Fool's Gold, making him one of the genre's biggest stars. But in 2011, he starred in Killer Joe as a vicious killer for hire, and began his journey into one of Hollywood's most successful dramatic actors. He followed that with Mud, and then blew everyone away with his Oscar-winning turn in Dallas Buyers Club. And he hasn't really looked back since. John Krasinski. John Krasinski will always be Jim from The Office. His pranks on Dwight, his hatred for Michael, his love story with Pam. It's all TV gold and nothing he will ever do will surpass any of it. That being said, it's not like he hasn't been trying. In 2018, Krasinski starred in, directed, and wrote the horror thriller A Quiet Place. Set in a world overrun with aliens with super sensitive hearing, Krasinski and his real-life wife, Emily Blunt, delivered a tense, heart-wrenching story about a family attempting to survive in this bleak new world. Not only was the film a smash spawning a franchise, but it also showed that Krasinski was capable of being both a leading man and a good hand behind the scenes. He's played Jack Ryan in the Amazon Prime series of the same name, directed and produced several more movies and TV episodes, and turned up as Mr. Fantastic in the MCU. All of this from the guy who put the stapler in the jello. Not too shabby. Tom Cruise. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Tom Cruise is a powerhouse. Completely committed to his craft and one of Hollywood's most consistent box office performers. But for a long while early in his career, he was nothing like the Tom Cruise we know today. Back in the late 80s and the majority of the 90s, Cruise was much more accustomed to serious dramas than the loud, exciting action flicks he is known for today. Sure, there was Top Gun, but with roles in Rain Man, Born on the 4th of July, A Few Good Men, and Jerry Maguire, it looked as though Cruise was poised to be the next big thing. And he was, all told, but not in the way anyone was expecting. In 1996, he starred in the first Mission Impossible, and ushered in a whole new action-packed era of his career. An era he's still enjoying today. Though he had a few dramatic roles after the first Mission Impossible, most importantly his career best turn in Magnolia, Cruise has stayed firmly in the action star category for most of his later career, and due to the success of his films and the lengths he goes to get them made, it's fair to say it's worked out for him. Chris Pratt. Before he was saving the universe or holding dinosaurs back with his bare hands, Chris Pratt was Andy Dwyer in over 120 episodes of Parks and Recreation. A lovable man-child, Andy was one of the highlights of the show for many, and his antics are still fondly remembered by fans. And then he got buff. Pratt's body transformation for his role as Peter Quill / Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy was nothing short of phenomenal. Also, now that he was sexy, he could have the pick of any part he wanted. It's sad, but it's a bit true, isn't it? As Owen Brady in the Jurassic World series, Pratt proved once again that he could helm a multi-billion-dollar series. He's tried to branch out with other films like Passengers and The Magnificent Seven, but Marvel and Jurassic World have been more than suitable homes for this new megastar. And that little Mario film did alright too, didn't it? A wahoo indeed.
Robert Downey Jr. No story is quite as unlikely, entertaining, and inspirational as the comeback of Robert Downey Jr. With his Oscar-nominated performance in Chaplin, it looked as though the up-and-comer had become the new star on the block. Unfortunately, his demons and addictions got the better of him in the early stages of his career. And though he managed to keep appearing in films, he didn't quite reach the level he had with Chaplin. He eventually became sober in 2003 and began a journey to reclaim his career with a role in the dark comedy Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. After a few critical and commercial failures, the actor was then cast to play Tony Stark in Jon Favreau's Iron Man, which was a massive success, and set in motion the seemingly unstoppable box office topper that is the MCU. He starred in 10 films in the Marvel franchise, during which time he became the highest paid actor in the world, and one of the most popular figures in modern cinema. Go you, RDJ, go you.
Leslie Nielsen. The late great Leslie Nielsen is widely regarded as one of the greatest comedy actors in cinema history. As Lieutenant Frank Drebin in both Police Squad and the subsequent Naked Gun movies, Nielsen was a comedic tour de force with his impressive arsenal of dry one-liners and physical humor. He also made us chuckle in Dracula, Dead and Loving It, Spy Hard, and the scary / superhero movies. And who could forget the utter delight that is Airplane? A straight man and comedic foil all rolled into one, Nielsen stole the show aboard that doomed flight, delivering some of the movie's most memorable gags. But did you know that before this he was a completely serious actor? The star was already in his mid-50s when he appeared in Airplane, and had had a substantial career playing dramatic parts. He starred in 60s sci-fi flick Forbidden Planet, as well as ocean-based disaster movie The Poseidon Adventure. Making Airplane was a huge risk for Nielsen, but thank God he took it. His work in comedy far outweighs anything he did in any other genre, and the legacy of laughs he left behind is nothing short of wonderful.